My fellow Nerdikins, welcome back to another episode of That's So Nerdy. Today we've got another exciting gameplay video for you, and then it's going to be King Cold versus Starter Goku Reboot. And we've got Tommy piloting King Cold on the left, me piloting Goku on the right. I haven't actually come up with a Z-Deck for King Cold yet, nor bought the new tournament pack cards that allow you to charge your fields into Z energy, but I absolutely do intend on getting them. And Goku is a pretty standard build. So Tommy goes ahead and plays an anticipated onslaught. Takes a life for the leader and draws, and then procs the ability of anticipated onslaught to draw a card, and then I believe he plays a berry blue. Yep, plays a berry blue, which allows him to search out another field or his 2-drop unison. Chooses to grab a copy of a new ruler. And he passes turn, I believe. I mean, he should, because I don't think there's anything else he can do. But since this is one of his, it's not his first time piloting King Cold, but it has been a long time since he piloted King Cold, and it's only like his 3rd or 4th time in total piloting it. But he did really well this time, honestly. But that's why you may see some of these plays take a little bit longer than usual, because Tommy doesn't quite know what the cards do and what interactions there are. So go ahead and throw out a Yamcha, because as you saw on my top 10 search, I pulled a Unison, and then from the Yamcha search, I pull a Bulma. The reason that I played the Yamcha is because I don't have a 3-drop Goku in hand right now. So I didn't want to play the Unison, since it is so weak. I didn't want to play the Unison out until I could play out the Goku. And I also opt to not awaken and take down the life, because I was thinking that since he is still at 7 life, that he might not be able to awaken this turn. But King Cold does what King Cold does. So he charged a copy of Anticipated Onslaught. And now he's debating on if he wants to play out his Unison or not. Because if he does end up playing out his Unison, then he's not going to be able to awaken this turn. So it's kind of counterproductive to actually play the Unison. Yeah, he's trying to figure out a way to awaken on this turn, and then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he does find a way. Alright, so he plays Terrified Realization, takes the life and draws for the leader, and then procs Terrified Realization to take a life and draw a card. And I take a look at Terrified Realization because I always forget that that card allows you to take a life, because that's almost always the last field I play. And if it's not one of the last fields I play, or well, it is always one of the last fields I play, but if it's not the last field I play, it's one of the last, and I never take the life for it, so that part, I always forget that it does that. So now he taps an energy to play a copy of a new ruler, procs the auto on a new ruler to take a life, and then he's going to search up to the top 3. He liked the first card, so he just went with it, and that's what I advised him to do anyway, so now he's going to go ahead and awaken. So he swings with lead, pops the field. Can't pop anything on my side of the field because Yamcha has barrier. But he is playing out Terrified Realization to be able to draw another card. Oh wait, he awakened, so he does get to draw a card off the leader and then gets the draw off Terrified Realization. And now I believe he's sitting at like 10 or 11 cards in hand, maybe 12. Which is one of King Cold's strong suits early on, as it builds a pretty big hand pretty quickly. But if the game starts to drag on, the King Cold hand starts to dwindle a lot. But I took the damage from his attack because I didn't want to combo up, even though that would mean I could charge some Z energy, but I'm not... This deck isn't super hungry for Z energy, so I don't need to charge it super fast, like some other decks. For example, my... Excuse me, my Crimson Goku deck that I will be featuring on the channel here soon, especially now that I have a Z deck built for it. It is... Yeah, that one's a little more... I mean, I guess you could say it's not super Z energy hungry, but the Z energy is a lot more important. Because, spoiler alert, I run the Z leader that's supposed to go in the 7-coup deck. And in the Crimson Goku deck, it actually works really, really well because the Crimson Goku deck can actually charge a huge amount of Z energy, like really easily. A lot easier than I expected, and it's pretty awesome. But, so I top 10 search because I played the Unison, pulled a Bulma, and now I'm awakening. Tap an energy to play a Bulma. I'm still digging for that 3-drop Goku. And here I was trying to decide if I wanted to play another Searcher out to try and get to that Goku. But the Bulma was literally, the Unison was literally the only target in that top 5 search that I could grab. So yeah, that was pretty sweet. So I swing with my leader, waiting for Tommy to decide if he's going to counter or not, which he does. And here I'm making sure that he procs the auto on Royal Supremacy because, like I said, he's not super well acquainted with the King Cold deck, and Tommy has a pretty bad habit of not actually reading his cards. But after my leader swing gets countered, that's the only attack that I have, since everything else on the board is really, really puny. So Tommy charges his turn 3 energy. Here's where we see him drop the King Vegeta Unison. And if you're wondering why he didn't go ahead and drop the King Vegeta Unison after he awakened, was because he said it himself that he was afraid that he wasn't going to be able to protect it, because I have a tendency to swing into Unisons, especially if they're crucial to a deck's mechanics. Yeah, I will swing into their Unison unashamedly. And anybody who actually plays the game like competitively knows that that's also a really good strategy, especially if you don't want to give your opponent resources from their life. You can just go in on their Unison, try and take their Unison down, and maybe they'll try and burn some counters to save their Unison, so that's less defense for that they have for their leader later on. But I wouldn't have been able to do that anyway because I didn't have the pressure to do so, but he wasn't really paying attention. So he goes ahead and pops Unstoppable Invasion. I take the double strike damage because I'm still digging for that Goku card. As well as, yeah, he thought about replaying that card just so he could get the draw, but I told him that that was not a good idea. So he goes ahead and swings with the Unison. And I went ahead and comboed out with Bulma and then charged Bulma to my Z energy. Alright, so now starting my turn 3. We've got charge of a Prideful Transformation Vegeta. Here, I think I'm still struggling a little bit because I believe I still haven't seen a 3-drop Goku yet. I mean, he's not super important to the deck, but he does allow you to apply pressure because he is a 15k when your Unison's on the board that does KO a rest mode battle card on play and restand itself at the end of the turn with barrier and blocker. So that Goku's really good. So he goes ahead and homie clones my first dual attack swing. So I go ahead and swing again. He activates blocker on the homie clones. So I swing with lead. He counters with Royal Supremacy. He tapped an energy to do it, and I was like, well, why are you tapping an energy? And he was like, oh, I don't know. So he went ahead and Royal Supremacied me, and I proc my leader's ability to play all that stuff out, and then I evolve, KO the Berry Blue, draw a card. The draw that I just got was the 3-drop Goku that you see. And then he Royal Supremacies again. So that's 3 of his Royal Supremacies, which only leaves him with 1 in deck. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think he sees another one for the game. I could be wrong, but I don't think he sees another one for the game. But as you can see, this deck also does play Dormant. And this is starting to become a little hairy for King Cole because he knows that I'm starting to get to the point where I can start applying more and more pressure, and I'm building the strength to just go in for game. So he pluses up on the Unison, plays out Unstoppable Invasion, gives the leader 10k in Double Strike. So I counterplay his Frieza, dual attacker, which he wasn't super happy about, but I'm happy about it. Definitely, as long as I can slow down the pressure that my opponent can apply with this deck. Like, this deck's pretty safe. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I would say that it's kind of slept on, but it is being played, so I can't really say that, and people know how strong it is. It's not the strongest, but yeah, and here he's like, oh man, I had the cooler counterplay in my hand. I should have counterplayed, and then my thing wouldn't have came in rest mode. And I was like, nah. The resting is tied to the counterplay, not to the card being played. So your card would have came in rest mode either way. He's like, ah, I see. So he goes ahead and swings for 25 double. The reason he's untapping is because he said I'm swinging for 15, and I was like, well, are you sure about that? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, did you play a field this turn? And he was like, oh yeah, I played Unstoppable Invasion. So I went ahead and played Frieza's Army, Reinforcements, and I do combo when on the blocker, but it's not enough to save it, and I was only comboing because I wanted to get Bulma into my Z energy. So going into my turn 4, and I am about to make a misplay, but I do correct it before I do anything else. And here's the misplay. And the reason it's a misplay, the people that are familiar with this deck will know why that's a misplay, but for those who don't, that ape that is on the board right now, I need one of those, or actually any Son Goku childhood great ape in my drop area in order to be able to Z-Awaken. And this is when I realize, I'm like, wait a second. I don't think I was allowed to do that. And then here's where I'm reading, and I'm like, oh, yep, nope, I'm not allowed to do that. So I throw my Z-Awakener back on the old Z deck, throw my Z energy back in, and then start this turn from scratch. So I go ahead and I do swing with the 8, which is a 25k double striker. He tries to boop on me, and I counter with a cooler. We almost missed that he didn't pay the energy for it, and then we realized here shortly. See, right there. I'm like, oh yeah, you still need to tap for Bupo. I just kind of countered him, that's all. So, now, I'm trying to figure out what I want to swing with next. So I swing with Cooler for 15. And the reason I swung with the Cooler first, in case anyone is wondering, is because I was trying to play around the fact that he might have that last Royal Supremacy in his hand. So if I swung with the Goku, I didn't want him to be able to pop the Strict Retaliation Cooler. So he dormants me on the Cooler swing, and then I use the Activate Battle on my leader to combo with Bulma for my drop. And he takes the damage for that swing, so I only have one more swing left this turn. And I obviously choose to use it on my leader. That way, if I remember correctly, I struggle here to decide if I'm going to draw or if I'm going to search the deck for an 8. Because I am trying to awaken by getting an ape into the drop area, but since I have one on the board, I'm also thinking that at some point he's going to KO that card because he doesn't like a 25k double striker. So right here I'm thinking about picking up the deck to grab the ape. I look at my hand, and then I believe I decide to say screw it and just draw the card. Yep, I just take the draw, and then Tommy takes the 15k. I add some markers to my unison, don't play a Goku because I don't have one, and then I pass turn. Tommy's struggling pretty hard to try and figure out what he's going to be doing. And then here, I go ahead he swings with the Frieza, which is a dual attacker, so it's going to restand itself on auto. And I counter with the Goku, what's his name? I'm sorry, folks. I am drawing a blank right now. Super Saiyan Goku, the Final Sacrifice. He is my replacement for Mecha Frieza, because I don't actually own any copies of Mecha Frieza, but what he does is he negates the attack and plays himself in rest mode, and then auto Spirit Boost 1, place this card in its owner's drop area. When this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. Additionally, if the chosen card has an energy cost of 5 or less, KO it and then draw a card. So that's why I was able to pop that Frieza, because it is only a 4 cost. And that Goku does have a permanent. It's normally a 3 cost, but if you have a Unison in play, it becomes a 1 cost. Which is why it's so good in this deck, because this deck almost always has a Unison on board. So being able to proc that ability and use it for some board removal is actually really nice. Sorry for the camera bump there. So I'm going to tap 1 and tap the Unison to, and that's where he KOs the ape. And since I already have a 4-drop on board and I don't have another Son Goku Child in the drop area, I can't play the other one out because he does have unique. So I do counterplay his Frieza in order to be able to do this. Bow, and KO the Frieza. Because in this King Cold deck, Frieza is actually a, once you have the fields on the board, it's actually a 15k attacker instead of a 10k, which is really nice. But it's also a big reason why I stopped running Zamasu, Deity's Wrath, in this deck, because if you don't have that if you do have that Terrified Realization on the board, and you don't have a way to pop it, then you can't use Frieza for Zamasu. So now I meet the requirements to Z Awaken, which I do. And Tommy is seeing what the Z leader does. So I swing with my lead. He counters with homie clones. I proc the auto to switch Yamcha to rest mode, play a Bulma. The Bulma allows me to draw a card. I will be restanding the Yamcha because he restands himself as well. And now I'm checking out my other options in my Z deck. So I swing for 15 at lead, he procs the blocker, I swing for 15 again. Another homie clones, swing for 15 again, procs the blocker, swing for 15 again. I combo with Bulma, throw Bulma into my Z energy. And then here he quits, but I go over, because I mean he was losing anyway, so I allow him to go ahead and do that, but I explained to him that like he has other defensive options because he forgot about it, so I let him do it, and then I show him like, oh no, I'm still winning, like don't worry about that. But yeah, that was the game. If you like what you saw, go ahead and leave a comment, subscribe, like, hit the bell so you get notified anytime we drop a new video, and stay tuned for the deck profile, and stay